Hi there guys, this is in relation to command words, understanding and interpreting command words, which is quite an art. And what I'm trying to do is give you an insight as to how OCR moderators plan and prepare their questions in order to get the correct response. So I'm going to give you some different questions. We're going to focus primarily on the command word, and I'm going to give you some examples from either the socio-cultural area, the skill acquisition stroke psychology area, or advanced anatomy, applied anatomy and physiology. The first of which we're going to discuss is the command word describe. And here we see a basic summary of what describe will mean when it comes to responding to a question. As far as OCR are concerned, they summarise the term describe as giving an account or a description of something in words without any interpretation or explanation. Here is an example of a question that you would get in anatomy and physiology. Use a practical example to describe how angular motion is produced. So try and think as to how you would interpret that command word and then how you would structure a response to that question. The next one we see here is explain. Explain means give reasons for and show your understanding of the subject. So again, a typical question would be use an example from an invasion game, basketball, rugby or football or hockey, to explain why fast reaction time is important. The next one, give reasons for. This means show your understanding of and explain. And this is a typical question that you probably get in the middle order grading, so your 6 markers. Give reasons for physical activity, and as we recall from the socio-cultural studies, physical activity, that's physical education, recreation and sport, being of such a high status in Australia. The next one relates to the term outline. Outline means giving a brief description of, okay, talking about the main features or giving a summary of the main points. Outline, contemporary initiatives that impact upon young people's participation in physical activity. And that's quite multifaceted. When we talk about young people, we're talking about primarily those that go to school. So outline initiatives which impact upon their involvement within sport, physical education and recreation. Identify. Identify means give the name of, write what it is. Very, very simple terms. In some instances you can bullet point this or hyphenate this. So identify, you're not going into too much detail, you're giving the name of. So identify ways in which a warm-up can help improve the strength of contraction during exercise. A very simplistic, lower order response. Define. Give a precise meaning of the term. That's drawing upon your knowledge and understanding. Explain the meaning of. So define stroke volume and give a maximal value for an aerobic athlete. So that question is 2 parts. You're defining what is meant by stroke volume, and then the second part is drawing upon a value for an aerobic athlete. Illustrate. Explain with examples. You don't have to obviously draw them, but in this instance you have to talk about and discuss the different examples. Go into detail. Draw upon again your knowledge and understanding. And here we see an example of a question including the term illustrate. What factors could affect response time in physical activities? Illustrate your answer with a practical example. Analyse. Analyse means splitting it into 2 parts and examining the parts critically. So our higher order responses, so the questions that are in the latter stages of the paper, your last one, your 10 markers, this is where we've really got to draw upon advantages, disadvantages, and we've got to critically analyse the response to the question. So in this instance, analyse the factors which shape the development of Aussie rules football, which is a typical sort of response that you'll get in the G451 paper, where you'll have to form an opinion. Talk about the advantages and the disadvantages, and then give an opinion as to what you feel shaped the development of Aussie rules football. Examine. Again, this means look at and inspect critically. Examine, again, we're talking about the higher order responses. Examine the types of guidance used to improve performance. Again, a skill acquisition question where you're looking to draw upon, you're looking to interpret different types of guidance in order to identify which of those are the most effective in improving performance. One which we've looked at quite a lot in the past, comparing and contrasting. This is where you have to draw upon your own understanding, certainly with psychology, different theories that you think are the easiest to understand and grasp. So you've got to compare adjectives in your answer. So for example, you talk about larger, quicker, brighter, easy to understand. A typical question here is compare and contrast 3 different theories in terms of interpreting arousal and performance. Those being the drive theory, which is a very linear line, the inverted U theory, which is a little bit more complex, and the catastrophe theory as explanations for the relationship between arousal and performance. Something that you will have to judge and interpret for yourself and then respond with an effective answer with comparisons. The last one that we're going to talk about is the term discuss. This is where you've got to argue in detail and you've got to create a case both for and against, sort of like a two-sided approach. Discuss both the positive and the negative impact of participating in different types of physical activity on the joints and the muscles of the body. So this is where you have to say the advantages are increased bone density, musculature, flexibility, muscular strength. The disadvantages are things like overuse injuries, osteoporosis or osteoarthritis. This is where we have to give a case for both sides. And at the end, you summarise it and evaluate it by drawing it upon opinion. So you would say that there is an increased likelihood of overuse injuries in rugby union in and around the shoulder because of the nature of the tackle. Again, the importance of some of these command words is that you must gauge the sort of response that is required. Okay? And make sure you don't fall into the trap of responding ineffectively, because that will seriously impact upon the nature of the mark that you get. Thank you.